From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hey, everybody, it's Kory. I'm back. I was in Seattle last week. Dylan and Kendall get a great job without me. And so you're just going to have to tolerate the fact that I'm back. I'm sorry. This week, we talk about comedians, consumables, cannibalism, Chevys. There's a lot going on. Chemistry on Apple. There's another C word on Apple TV Plus. So many fun things to catch you up on. There's a lot of adulting going on. The guys weigh in on it. Then we talk about a lot of the stuff we're streaming. And it's a good time. So tune in. We laugh a lot. We recommend some shows to you and some shows that you might not want to watch. Interested? Click play. You already did. Just leave it playing. Don't stop it. You know what I mean? Okay, bye.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it?
You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the middle after dark over here.
I'm trying to drink healthier water, and my Porta John Perrier is. I probably shouldn't call it. I probably shouldn't call them out like that. I think it's sometimes the flavor that the wisp of flavor that they're trying to get is just far too much effort. It's just not worth it. And
well,
maybe
it's sweetness is an element of flavor.
Mhm.
If you wanted your Perrier
Yeah.
to taste like the fruit, they would need to either A, add sugar,
Yeah,
or B, add artificial sweetener, in which case you have pop.
that's what I want.
What you want is pop.
And from my childhood,
Not sparkling water, you want pop.
I think it's Kory can Google it. I think it's called Pinaz, is what it was called. That's what I wanted.
Pinaz.
I wanted Pinaz, and I got Porta John Perrier pineapple flavor. Is that enough alliteration for a title episode?
So
Porta John Perrier pineapple flavor. Pinaz pineapple soda is what it was called. That's what I want. And I got my idiocy strikes again, and here I am drinking something I don't even enjoy.
This is the perfect segue into what I wanted to open with because and hi everybody, we're back this week. Thanks for tuning in to From the Middle. We like to have fun and hope you do too. Hey, so I'm listening to the episode in Seattle, and I'm like, if there are podcasts that are just about drinks, I'm pretty sure we've talked more about drinks than those podcasts. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And so here we are again, and Kendall's convinced that Dylan and I don't know what the purpose of a sparkling water is.
Well, it's like you're demanding.
I'm with you. You're not wrong.
Yeah. It's like, why isn't this pop? Like, it's something else. Buy pop if that's what you want.
Why does my NFL have all this Taylor Swift in it? I don't understand.
Exactly.
Oh, can we please not talk about
Taylor Swift? She is the NFL now for all of you. She is the NFL.
I almost posted on Facebook today. Hey, let's talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift some more. Hoping that people would understand my sarcasm. So that was one thing I wanted to hit on. And then the second thing was the Joe Coy thing. So I appreciated you guys' take. I haven't watched his set from the Globes or his opening monologue or even his transition pieces. All I've heard is other stand-up comics talking about his performance, and I want to get you guys' take on what they said. So again, in fairness, I haven't watched it. He may have well bombed. I don't know. But their take was, and this is 3 or 4 people on their podcast said, he didn't do bad. Those are really crummy venues for a lot of different reasons. One, the audience. No one loves getting picked on. The ceilings are super high. They're the opposite of what makes for a good stand-up atmosphere in every way. If you're doing stand-up, you want a small crowd, low ceilings, so that the laughter stays low. And acoustically, this is the opposite. Massive room. The laughter just dies. So that was the second thing they said. The third thing they said was the editing didn't do Joe Coy any favors because they cut to people who were having little or no reaction to what he was saying, as opposed to the laughter that was in the room. And then the biggest and probably worst nail in the coffin in the argument that he bombed is that when he apparently made a joke at Taylor Swift's expense, she like was sipping a drink or something with zero reaction. And so all the Swifties were like, we hate Joe Coy now. And so like the internet was like, he made a joke at Taylor's expense. She wasn't having it. So he definitely is the worst stand-up comedian ever. And they were like, he did fine. It wasn't awesome, but it's nowhere near as bad as what people are saying online. Thoughts?
I think the worst thing for me was that he made a comment, something to the effect of when people weren't really laughing on stage, he got defensive and said, basically, the only jokes that you're laughing at are the ones that I wrote. The rest of them were the writers.
Ew.
And I was,
gross.
Like if you're not doing well, just push through and finish it. Don't start like justifying. That felt kind of gross. It's just, but he probably did technically do fine. I also think the other layer, as I've thought about it more, I think the other layer is everyone there is either drunk or super nervous. They're really focused on the awards that they're in because the people that are nominated, of course, want to win. They have their speeches if they do win. And so the people laughing are probably the people that are there that aren't up for award, who can actually relax and enjoy the thing. And so that's probably another element of it. There it is. Beautiful panaz, delicious. That's what I want. I didn't want this. I wanted that.
I think that was a Dollar General find. Continue.
Probably. Anyways, I think there's probably a lot of variables. He probably did fine, but he shouldn't have basically said, but I'm the funny one, the writer.
Yeah, that's cringe if he said that. So anyway, that was my only added layer. Kendall, did you watch clips or what do you think about those counterpoints?
Oh, I haven't watched a lick of any of it.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
I've got nothing. I heard it had big implications though.
Like most Marvel and Star Wars content. How are you guys? That brings us up to speed, at least in terms of the episode last week. Great job. Sorry, I kind of dropped that on you last minute that I wasn't going to be there, but you crushed it. In fact, we got some feedback from one of our loyal listeners that said, thought the episode ran a lot smoother than normal. And you guys were all worried about the technical issues you seem having. And the feedback was that it was great. Even better than most weeks, even.
Doing good.
Tongue in cheek, I'm sure.
All I can say is pressure is a gift. And a couple lumps of coal shined as diamonds last week. And we did our best.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have you back. I always enjoy the three-way banter, is much more fun. Doing well on a new lettuce wrap diet. It's pretty interesting. Just wrap your cheeseburgers and shakes in lettuce. And just keep eating. So I'm enjoying the food a lot so far on this diet. It's really.
I thought you were going to say you're now smearing your nerdy nuts all over some lettuce.
Gosh, man, we've got more coming already from last week, so we're gonna have to do a taste test of some of this stuff. They are not.
They're gonna open a manufacturing plant.
Yeah, they are not responding to my outreach. They can smell the desperation. So they're like, this guy is buying it up, whether we sponsor him or not. So
yeah,
just gonna let him go.
You were so passionate about how you were speaking about nerdy nuts, like the texture, the taste, why it's a healthier version than most peanut butters. I'm excited to try this stuff.
Yeah, and I think, Kendall, you asked if there were other kinds of nut butters. I think I did see an almond butter tab on their website last time that I looked. So there might be some other interesting options. So It's good stuff. It's not healthy, but it's healthier than eating like a dessert. So, and if you want a dessert but don't want all the sugar and calories of a dessert, it's certainly a nice option. Desperation or not, I'd still love them to sponsor us. So,
Yeah. That'd be fun. Yeah, well, you see, now this is where somebody might be trying one of these fancy nut butters,
mhm.
and they can take what you just said, or they can be like, "Why isn't this caramel sauce? I wanted caramel sauce." And it's like, well, I mean, it's not. They're not trying to make caramel sauce. If you want caramel
No.
sauce, it's fine. Buy caramel sauce.
Yeah. I get it. I'm an idiot. That's true.
I mean, I didn't say it.
No, I'm happy to. I lean into the village idiot role.
Nobody likes a boring podcast where the hosts don't make fun of each other.
Yeah.
For sure.
And look, for the people that do laugh at our podcast, anything that you're actually laughing at are the jokes that I wrote. If you're laughing, if you're not laughing, those are the jokes from our writers.
If it's nut butter related, it came
funny.
from Dylan, and he just fed it to me.
I blame the bad editing. So I have a lot to fill you guys in on. Both, we were away last week. We had a guest the week before that. What do you guys got in terms of content? Because there's a lot going on at the Hubble House.
Oh man, goodness. I could probably hold off. People heard me talk a lot last week. I could probably hold off and just share a few things I've watched since, because I'd love to hear how your trip went. I always love food and drink updates, and I have no idea what Kendall has. He could have all kinds of more thoughts on drinks that we haven't talked about.
So I've got. I don't think I have any drink thoughts this time around. Although I have been using root beer once this past week to teach my kids how to like sommelier taste test something, right? So we were at a restaurant. This was so fun, and I got so stoked because like it worked. And at least for one of them, I'm convinced it worked. Like I didn't feed my daughter anything, and she was totally picking up on the right things herself. I took them to dinner. It was just the kids and I, and or lunch rather. And I let the boys order root beers. Turns out they were IBC root beers in the bottle, which is really cool. And my daughter, who just wanted water, was now jealous. And so I got her one. And they're drinking these. And partway through lunch, I was like, do you guys know what root beer is? Like, what's that flavor? Like, where do you think that there's like a root beer root somewhere, and like it tastes like root beer? And then like I educated them a little bit, told them like root beer is actually, it's a conglomeration of different flavors put together that make the root beer flavor. One of the more prominent ones is wintergreen. One of the other more prominent ones is anise or a black licorice flavor. And then the third most prominent one tends to be vanilla. And any kind of wintergreen tends to be the star of the show. And so like I had them like really try to focus on one and taste. We'll focus on another one and taste, while I'm also tasting, and just to like see if they know what they're talking about, if they're blowing smoke. And my daughter was like, I taste way more wintergreen and IBC than the others. When you had me think of the other flavors, I'm like, you are absolutely right. That is, IBC is known as a very wintergreeny root beer. And then we got home and we have, the Ayla special Big K root beer in our fridge, which I recognize as being a very anise forward root beer. And she picked that out.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so I'm super excited. And I explained to them, like, when daddy drinks whiskey, this is what he's doing. This is why I like whiskey. This is what I like to do with whiskey and with fancy coffees. I like to do this with fancy coffees. And I did explain to her that normal people do it with wine. I happen to not like wine, but
yeah.
So it was cool. But this past weekend on Saturday was a national karate tournament that we went to. It was in the Cincinnati area, nice and close to us. And so we went and spent a night down there and did the karate tournament. My wife competed in the karate tournament.
Go.
Which which was super, super cool. It was fun. Everybody had fun. Um, Here's the thing. So my wife's, I don't think she'd mind if I outed her age, but I'm not going to anyway. They'd have age cutoffs, right? And so she was in a women's group on a women's mat with an age grouping appropriate to her age. And what's great about being the age that she is that she actually gets to be one of the younger ones in her group, even though she's a mother. And so a couple things that I learned from watching that age group women, specifically those two things put together, is one, it does come back around in sports where you can, even though you might be older past your athletic prime, but there's still those moments in some sports where you can all of a sudden become like the young one again. And that was interesting to me. The second thing that was interesting is there was no mat that was more supportive than that one. You get a bunch of middle-aged moms out on a mat, and they are just everybody's best friend immediately. And you're sparring with these women, and you're hugging when you're done. Like it's amazing.
I just imagine like a stay-at-home mom getting kicked in the teeth and be like, "That was a really good kick. I'm so proud of you. Well done. Good ow for the that was beautiful. Good form." That's awesome.
Yeah, So like they're getting judged on two things. One is form. The other one is not judged on, but there's a sparring competition as well, and you take part in both of those things. When they're doing the forms, like with the kids, there's a lot more kids, and there's a lot more people at each mat and things like that. And so, like when one kid is done with their form and they give the score, and then they go and sit down, all of the other kids clap because they're told they have to, right? They're learning sportsmanship. These middle-aged mothers are like, girl, that was awesome. Yeah, that was so good. And like they're high-fiving when they get like back to the seating area. And it was interesting. It's a unique experience watching. I'd been to a tournament before and I didn't pay any attention to the middle-aged mom mats. This time I did, and it's a different world. It's a different ball game. They're all there because they're trying to set good examples for their kids, like who are also in karate. But
I think that's awesome. First of all, that you guys both started doing karate with your kids, and that Amy's competing. And I think it's so badass that she's not just like a brilliant scientist, lab director, public speaking at these healthcare lab tech conferences and stuff, but she's also kicking butt on the karate mat. So
indeed on her mat, she got first place in sparring.
Let's go.
I mean, that's like closing in on Batman. She's closing in on Batman.
She's pretty much there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
That's awesome, man. Good for you guys. And that's fun. So go, Amy, go.
Yes, sir. Now I'm here alone. She's in Pittsburgh, and I'm drinking beer. The kids are sleeping. So
yeah,
that's how that's going.
She's working and is in another secret ninja tournament contest. Is what
that's probably she. That was one of her.
She went down an age bracket. She lied about her age so she could go down a bracket.
She won a sparring competition, and then some shady creature walked out of a corner and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you," and basically recruited her into something.
How do you feel about Pittsburgh?
That's awesome.
She's doing one-on-one training with Jean-Claude Van Damme right now.
Well, speaking of doing adult things, here's my first story to catch you guys up with some of the goings on at our home. So 2 summers ago, we had one of Dylan and I's cousins over. Sherry's doing dishes in the kitchen, and my cousin is bringing her dishes to the sink to put them away or have them washed. And she goes, Sherry, your ceiling's leaking. And we look directly above our kitchen sink, and there's an L-shaped water stain in the ceiling, and it's dripping every couple seconds onto the floor. And we're like, ugh, crap. A kid had just taken a shower, so we're like, maybe something's going on with the kids' bathroom directly above. This is where this would be. So we do what a lot of people do, is we kind of ignore it until it happens again.
Yeah.
Let's just see how regular this problem is before we do anything crazy, like fix it.
It's a legitimate step. I don't need to do anything now. As a matter of fact, it's probably smart if I don't.
Let's just see if like not having all three kids take back-to-back showers fixes it, or things like that, right? Let's put the shower curtain on the other side after a shower to see whatever. Like it would happen from time to time, but not with any regularity. Then it like stopped for a year, which was really bizarre. We didn't really change anything drastic other than put some of those. It's hard to explain. There's these little plastic things you can put on the top edge of your tub and against the wall. That's like a clear plastic thing to just taper some of the water back into the tub instead of it spilling out when you draw the curtain back, or that little 2 inches that you can never fully get a shower curtain against the wall. So it just directs it back into the tub. So it didn't happen for like a year. Then it started happening again at a different time. So Sherry's like, that's it. We got to call. So we've talked a lot on this podcast about how when you're out of your depth with repair things, how nice it is to be able to call somebody that knows what they're doing. So we have this jack of all trades guy we know. His name's Ty. He comes over and he's like, I think this is just your shower curtain. I think after the kids take a shower, it just drips. It's going into this specific corner, which would explain the L-shaped stain in your kitchen ceiling. He's like, if you really want to have it fixed, it wouldn't be a big deal for me to replace the flooring where it's a little spongy and probably dry, water damaged. I could repair that, but try getting a curved shower curtain rod and just try to make sure that you're tucking the shower curtain away when you're done, or spread it out so that it's not all dripping in one spot. So that pretty much solved it. So moving completely off of that story. Maybe 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, Sherry's like, hey, in our master bathroom, different bathroom, every once in a while, there's a few drops of water emanating from the bottom of the toilet into the cracks of the tile grout when you flush. So you flush, you come back 30 seconds later, and it's just a few drops, but it's coming out of where the toilet hits the ground in the grout, right? And it's starting to like spill out, and we're like, oh crap. Again, we don't want to do anything crazy like investigate this. We'll just see how regular this problem is. I was worried that it was my tushy and that we were going to have to remove it. It was not. So that's good news.
Good.
Tushy is a brand of bidet, by the way. I'm not talking about my derriere. So
oh no, my butt's leaking out of the toilet again.
I hate when that happens. The worst. So anyway, this keeps happening. I love my wife. She's so good at like making sure we stay on top of things. And one of the ways that she does that is little. So what she did was put like a small little fan that you'd put on a desk. She put that in the direct path of being able to go to the bathroom or use the sink, and pointed it at the bottom of the toilet to be like, you going to fix this soon? Because if not, I'm just going to keep plugging this fan in and having it run 24 hours a day, because I'd rather dry the stain and or dry the water and not see it than having the water keep coming out.
One way to communicate, I guess.
So we finally call somebody. I'm getting to the point. We finally call somebody. I have a plumber come out, not the first guy, a different guy that we've had come out before. He comes out. I said, hey, couple things. One, I think I just need this toilet remounted. It might be a seal or issue or whatever. While you're here, there's one on the first floor that's a little rocky. I don't like that. I would feel a lot better if that were a little more stable. And I think I had like one handle that needed something, and a whole house filter was needed replaced. So he's like, great, great, great. Fix the first three. And then the thing you never want to hear is, sir, you're gonna want to come up here. I need to show you something.
Oh gosh.
He had pulled the toilet off in the master bathroom,
Yeah.
and he said, listen, the flange, the metal ring that your mounts your toilet, it's like a whole quarter of it is rotted and rusted and like gone. It's missing. It's not even there. And the toilet was sitting half on what was left of the ring and half on the tile. So it was like half down in the hole and half up on the tiles, like sort of balancing, like rocking. And he goes, I'll just put a replacement ring on there. But in order to do this flush, I'm going to need to bust up some of this tile so that it sits flat. Is that okay with you? It's, as you can see, sir, it's already cracked in a few places. I was like, it's fine. This is old tile. It's not a big deal. Do what you got to do. He comes back down. Sir, you're going to want to come up here again.
Oh, God.
So he has the replacement flange, which has 8 screw holes in it. And he said, I could only get 1 screw to even bite into any wood because the other 7 holes of 8 are just going into spongy, wet wood, which means your subflooring is soaked. And I don't know how bad this gets. And if I remount this toilet, you're going to have all kind of problems. And you don't want that. And I was like, okay, great. So then you're doing the whole full bathroom remodel conversation, right? So he's like, you can do this 2 ways. You can come up from the top and start busting up tile until you get to the wooden floor and see how far that stain goes. Or you can come up from your garage, which is drywalled, and see if you can see how much of the floor is damaged that direction. But that way you got a patch, and the other way you're going to probably have to replace the flooring anyway. Long story short, we ended up doing new floors in 2 bathrooms because it was like the one that was from 2 summers ago in the kids' bathroom, which meant, well, Sherry's like, well, since we're doing the kids' bathroom, what if we pick out a new vanity? So they have a whole new vanity and sink and these beautiful laminate floors. And what Sherry and I ended up doing was calling that first guy, who's awesome, love him, thank you, Ty. If you're in Central Ohio, I'll give you his number. But he's like, if you guys want to do some of the work, so we started busting up tile. They put tile directly on linoleum. So then you're going tile, then you got to pull up linoleum, then you got to pull up the luan, the wood, to get to the subflooring. Luckily, the water damage was only 10 inches in either direction. So it wasn't really, really, really bad. So it was only a few key spots, but we got brand new laminate flooring in there that looks like wood. It's really cool. And the kids have a new vanity and a new floor. And the peace of mind I now have that there are no longer any water. I hate water issues in the house. And it's a 20-some, almost 30-year-old house. Every toilet has had rotted wood around it we've had to do it in different phases. But anyway, so that's some of the adventures of what's going on here.
Oh boy, that's amazing. I don't envy you. We've had our master bathroom. This is now years ago. The shower started feeling spongy underneath it, and so we stopped using it, and immediately got quotes like for a full bathroom remodel. That's what we want to do. And in the first place, like, we're not looking to just we hate our shower anyway. So, and this was the COVID year that we were getting estimates, and everything was super sky high. Or no, this was right before everything went super sky high. And it was still a lot more expensive than, like, we were like, okay. And then we had decision making time. Like, do we want to pick and choose?
Yep.
Or do we want to wait?
Yep.
And just do it all. And so we decided we were going to wait and do it all at once. So that we could afford it more comfortably later on. And one thing after another keeps happening. And right now We have not used our master bedroom shower since 2020.
It's funny how those things happen, and you're so right. When there's that initial, I don't know what analogy to use. It's like the thing that ends up leading to a much bigger thing, like the small thing that ends up leading to a much bigger thing. You have that decision to make of like, how long are we going to be here in this house?
Yeah.
Do we want to do the full remodel now? He's like, to do everything you guys say you want to do, because we had him here before with the first bathroom issue. And he's like 15 to 20K to do everything you want to do in this bathroom. And we're like, okay. He's like, or I replace this floor and you can save some money by busting up the tile yourself, which we did. Right. And so there's like do the whole big thing now. Or it's like, well, while we got the floor up, do we just pick up new sinks while we're at like, there's the whole like, anyway, so we went with the thriftiest route, but man, it still feels like a whole new bathroom. Going from cold tile to like that really cool gray wooden looking laminate flooring, which is 100% waterproof. And yeah. So anyway, just funny how those things work. And sometimes the answer is we'll just have this toilet not mounted in our bathroom and use the kids' toilet for a couple years. And we've done things like that before too. So it's just funny how those things work out. Well, this feels like a good spot to take a potty break and hear some words from some of our friends and Odd Pods Media.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus Beth Gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
Speaking of bathrooms, I have to share. So Case has been having some tummy issues, and Sherry was giving him some medicines that will help move things along. So she sends me a photo the other day. Case had put a note on the lid on the toilet seat in the guest first floor toilet that says, "Please do not use. Toilet will be clogged." And Sherry said, "Buddy, did you even try to flush it?" He goes, "No, I just knew with how much came out of me, it was going to clog."
Oh boy. Was he right?
No, it went down because it was
fine.
It was a consistency that worked.
It wasn't something that would sink in a submarine.
But I just thought it was funny that he wrote, "Please do not use. Toilet will be clogged with 1G."
Inevitable.
Oh,
It was inevitable.
that's adorable, Case.
That was so cute. All right, so on to some first world problems, and this is my last big story, and I promise to get into Seattle. Seattle was fine. It's cool when you go to a town and you just start to get more and more comfortable with the process of going to one city. You're like, I know the airport, I know how the rental car thing works, I know which hotel I like now, I know how long it's going to take me to get to the office every day.
So now you have New York friends and Seattle friends.
You're killing me. So there's a direct Alaska Airlines. Okay, I will take this side tangent real quick. There's a direct Alaska Airlines flight, which I love. It leaves twice a day from Columbus and twice a day from Seattle back. Different time, like morning one and an evening one. I fly in on Monday night. It gets me to Seattle like 8:30, 9:30 local time. It's fine. I go to the office that following day, Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, I'm walking to the office and I get an email from Alaska Airlines that my Friday flight home has been canceled because of this Boeing 737 MAX 9 mechanical issue. They've grounded a large number of airplanes, and that's the one that's my return flight home. At least I had a few days to fix it. Here's my lesson learned. As soon as you get those emails, call and get it handled, because everybody else is getting that same email. And seats on other planes are going to start going away. So they give you a direct line because of all the affected passengers. I call, hey, there's nothing until Sunday. How's that sound? I'm like, not going to work. I would really like to get home Friday. You can even put me on a different airline if needed. So I got an American Airlines flight with a connection in Dallas. So I lost the direct, but it was fine. I still got home on Friday, just 3 hours later. No big deal. So anyway, but Seattle's cool. I love the sushi there, and it's fine. Okay, completely different story.
You haven't tried sushi until you've tried Seattle sushi.
Did you have to run through the Dallas airport, or did you get a nice casual walk? Did you get to enjoy a walk?
No, that flight was so delayed that I had an over 3 hour layover. I would have had to run, but the second flight was so delayed that it actually worked in my anxiety favor, and just meant that I got home later.
Must be nice. Good for you.
Yeah, and an accident happened, and it made Kory's life easier.
Yeah.
You forgot what triggered this whole story, which was them saying, "There's no more direct anymore. We're so sorry."
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
sorry. We're gonna have to put you in Dallas with $500 cash and a first class flight. Will that be okay with you, sir?
will that be okay? And you're still going to get home about the same time that you thought. It's
Yeah.
not really going to affect your day to day much. Like you're.
Also, we need to let you know, Mrs. Beyonce will be sitting next to you. She tends to have a lot of perfumes and things. We just wanted to ask whoever was going to be sitting next if that would be okay.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Well, I'm striking the next story.
Oh no.
Okay, so this just makes me look such a douchebag now. Okay, so we now have 3 drivers in our home, and in two vehicles, which for the most part is not a problem. Sherry and I, and Lily and I have learned to coordinate schedules and where are you going to be and can you pick your sibling up from practice. If you have the car, then that means daddy can't go. We work it out for the most part. But there are times when I'm limited because both cars are out. And so if somebody says, "Hey, you want to grab lunch?" I'm just like, if it's not the time of year where I can use a motorcycle, it's like, nah, cars are gone and whatever. The second reason is that it's sometimes inconvenient, and I get hedging here. This is a total first world problem thing. But I don't like when I do get back from the airport that Sherry has to come and get me. It's an hour out of her day, and that's not always convenient for her based on the time. And Ubers don't always want to take you as far from the airport as I live. Well, they'll take you home. They don't want to come and pick you up to go to the airport. Anyway, so I've been thinking for a while, wouldn't it be nice if we just had a third vehicle, not the Harley, a third like proper vehicle, and give Lily the nicer second car to go to school and work, and then I'll drive around like a beater truck or something. So, and there's a couple neighbors in the neighborhood here who have old, what I would call like looking like farm trucks, and it's just they're rusty and dented, and Sherry has even said that'd be fun. It'd be cool to just have a truck as an option. Anyway, so Friday I'm in Seattle at the airport coming home on my rerouted flight in a different airline with a much more inconvenient schedule. And I see that one of our friends on Facebook Marketplace has posted this old Chevy Silverado 1500. And I sent it to Sherry, who isn't on Facebook. And I said, "Hey, look, our friends who she worked with at the nonprofit she works at, our friends are selling this truck." And she goes, "Looks great, babe. I'm on calls for the next 4 hours. I can't be bothered with this. But if you think it looks like a good deal, like whatever." And so I'm like, well, I don't know that I'm qualified to make this decision. I was just showing it to you. Right? So I start messaging the person on both Marketplace and on her private Facebook Messenger. I said, "Hey, I saw your truck. This is great." She's like, "It's in Indiana, down like in that weird like Kentucky, Cincinnati, Indiana triangle. It's like down there, like west of Cincinnati, southwest of Cincinnati." And she was telling me about it. I said, "Hey, I think I might, be able to come and take a look at this." So Sunday, I throw my buddy Greg, who's been on the podcast before, in the car. We drive down to look at it. And now I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to see that's going to make me like pretty much like we've got the money. We can pay her via Venmo, and they weren't there. The people we know weren't there. So it's their family that we've got to interact with. They've got the title in Denver, so they're going to have to mail it to me if I like it anyway. And so it's just like one of those like, and so I'm driving down with Greg, and I'm like, what would you need to see for you to think it was a bad deal? Like, it doesn't start, it blows up, things like that. Long story short, I buy this truck. So now I've already gotten their blessing to drive it home without the title, and they said everything, it starts up, everything works great. They weren't aware that the brake lights didn't work. So I'm like, hey, Greg, I'd appreciate it if you follow me because the brake lights don't work on this truck. It was really fun. It's a 95. It's got 250,000 miles on it.
Nice.
It's rusty. It's dented. I love everything about it. It just the smell getting in when we first looked at it in these people's driveway, just that old truck. It's a work truck smell. It's the best.
I'd be surprised if Artiest Man doesn't already have that candle. You know what I mean? Like they're tuned in to that kind of smell.
It's like oil and like metallic and like notes of leather and like sun-baked plastic dashboard and like old air fresheners that I love it. It's got a cracked windshield and like it's great. I love everything about it. So I'm just like this whole truck now. This is my first truck. I'm going to be 40. This is my first truck. And this is going to be my just putzing around town, drive myself to the airport truck. So I'm like, I'm waiting on the title. There's nothing I can do with it. But today, all day, I'm just looking at it parked out in the street. Like, that's the truck. I just love the truck. I wonder if I could just go on YouTube and see if this is a common brake light issue and how one might replace this part. Because I think this is not just a fuse or a bulb. I think this is an actual switch issue. So I type in YouTube, and I know there's other people do this all the time. This is a big deal for me. So I type in 95 Chevy 1500 brake lights not working or whatever. And I get like a bevy of videos that are like, in 2 minutes, how to replace your brake switch on now they listed a range of years, like 95 to late 90s. And this includes like the SUVs and the trucks because they all use a lot of the same components, right? Long story short, I find a few videos of guys who are like, it's going to be really hard to get to because you got to lay on the floorboards under the driver's seat. And you look up at the steering column, and way tucked back up in there is this switch, and it's on a rod, and you got to pop this clip, and then this thing, and then this thing, and then you unplug it, and then you just put the next one in, and you're good. And you guys, I freaking did it. And the brake lights actually work. And it's one of those things where you're like, if this were a nicer vehicle, I wouldn't have felt comfortable trying it. But because it's an old beat up truck, like I was like, I'll just get in there and see what happens, which I would never otherwise do. So Sherry got to drive it last night. Lily even drove it last night. And I was telling both of them, there's like this line where if your vehicle is newer and has 2 or 3 things wrong with it, those things really bother you. And you're like, I got to get to those 2 or 3 things. But when there's 14 things wrong with a much older vehicle, you're like, it is what it is.
Yeah, totally.
And everything that you happen to be able to fix is just icing on the cake. And this is that. And I just didn't want another car payment. And I'm just so excited about my truck.
And isn't there stuff now that's like, it's almost like Gorilla Glue for windshields to fill in cracks. And it's like a jelly. You pour it in and you could probably fill that really quick and make that look nice.
Well, I watched this YouTube video. I was in between calls and I was like, I have an advanced auto parts store that you can see from my backyard. Like you see the big neon lights, and AutoZone is across the street from that. So I have an advanced auto parts, and I'm like, I should be able to figure this out. The guy in the video did it in 2 minutes, right? Like, I don't know. There's just like an overwhelming sense of pride and like, I don't consider myself a super mechanically minded or grease monkey type guy. But when you do figure those things out, you're like, look at me. I'm an adult. This is fun.
I'm going to get back in my work truck.
Yeah. So anyway, fun times. I'm excited for you guys to see it. I haven't thought of a name yet, but next time we record in person, I'll bring the truck.
Oh, dude.
It's
going to change you.
Silver?
It's black. Yeah.
Oh, black. Okay. Yeah.
It's going to change you, man. You're going to go out there and you're going to buy like an old vintage Stanley thermos for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to fill it up.
Start wearing flannels.
You're going to start wearing flannel. You're going to fill up your Stanley thermos.
Start wearing flannel. I'm wearing one now. Look at
it. You're just going to go drive around in your truck, drinking out of your thermos lid.
Look at the Craftsman toolbox, Kendall.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Holy cow.
He's like, he's like, the lock doesn't work. So you got to grab some needle nose pliers and you got to go the opposite end and push in and then it pops up.
You wouldn't have it any other way.
And I'm like, heck yeah, that's how I have to do it. Let's freaking go. You should have seen me when I had Sherry when I tested the brakes and Sherry told me they were working because she was standing behind it while I was pressing the brake pedal. She's like, they work. And I'm like, yeah, I did a thing.
Yeah. So much of car repair is just that, by the way. It's people can work on their own cars. They just don't know they can work on their own cars or they don't want to. Half of it is diagnostic, and you can find that information out most of the time somewhere. Sometimes there's a stumper. But the fix so often is unplug that thing, buy the new one,
plug it
in.
And I was thinking things like that. Like you said, it's like, can you get access to the thing is the other. And then people get overwhelmed because they're like, oh, I'd have to take this off, this off, this off, this off to even get to it.
Some of them are like that.
Yeah.
Much of it isn't.
Much of it isn't.
Like
yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And even if you do have, like, if you have to take, the airbox out or something, I can see the 4 bolts that need to come out. I can work a wrench 4 times and then just take the thing off.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. And then you have to do that to 3 different things. There are some things that are obviously far more difficult.
Sure.
But most of it seems, is like junk like that. Anybody could do their own brakes if they knew how to do it. Like, it's not, there's not a big skill there, but you could. We just don't.
Yeah, man.
But like, we don't do a lot of things, right? But I'm not bashing anybody. I don't do most of my own stuff on cars. But
see, even with the bathroom thing, like, I was comfortable busting up tile. I was comfortable pulling up linoleum. I was comfortable pulling up the Luan and scraping all the staples and tacks off so it was smooth. I wasn't comfortable taking out the subflooring, cutting new subflooring. Like, for whatever reason, that just felt like, I'd rather not mess with that. I'd rather somebody who's done that a bunch of times do that.
Well, yeah, part of that is like doing home repair and renovation stuff like that is like, I want this to look good when it's done. Right.
And I don't have the proper tools, like those little fancy Milwaukee little tiny saws that can cut in little tiny nooks and crannies. I don't even know what they're called.
Like oscillating tools
and with the little bits on them that get back in the corners and stuff that I don't and like somebody who has that and a nail gun and a compressor is going to go way faster than me doing it with individual. Anyway. So but that was just like a small win. And thank you to the YouTubers who post things like that, because it was 7 years ago that this guy made this video and people are still going, thank you so much. I did this myself. This was so easy. Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah. It's smart move taking Greg. I would have got there and said, I see there's an engine. That's good. That's a good sign.
That's the engine, right? You're pointing at the radiator, but
I see there's.
Well, I'm glad it's got that too.
Yeah. Tires are a good start. That's good.
So the rest we can talk about in another episode, but those were the 2 big stories: bathroom stuff, new trucks, just a lot of adulting going on. And Kendall, that feels like a good segue, talking about something I was texting you about last week or the week before, because I'm still getting into Yellowstone, and this might be a good segue into Dylan's streaming. but I was like, I feel like I need a cowboy hat. Which now that I have this work truck, I definitely need a cowboy hat.
There you go.
But we were talking about how shows just like, I remember you saying this about watching Kevin Costner in this show. You're like, I find a new enjoyment walking around in a cowboy hat and boots, cowboy boots. It's like we're all just like, you see something you admire and go, yeah, I need to be more like that. So then I'm like, all right, is there a way that I could dress up for Rip as Halloween and just like playfully get a cowboy hat and some cowboy boots? Like, oh, I guess I have them now.
Well, since I've got it, and since
Wait, are you
it
gonna
matches my truck. Okay.
are you gonna style Air Jordans with a cowboy hat? Is that
Yeah, there's a lot to figure out here, right? With like the Harley subculture and the urban Jordan hipster culture. I'm like, do I put a Dutton Ranch a yellow Y on the side of my truck now? Like, would that?
No,
would
no,
that
no, no.
work?
That's too obvious, man.
Okay.
That's a little that
All right.
gets a little cringe at that point. Like I wouldn't even, if you're gonna go ahead and do the style thing, I wouldn't even like get like a Yellowstone Dutton Ranch coffee mug to drink. Like I wouldn't even do that. Yeah, specifically about, I know this is going somewhere else, but specifically with not necessarily Yellowstone related, but with like transitioning into wearing Western gear. Ray the barber, my barber, who we have to get back on here at some point. I love that dude. He was, when I was in to see him a couple weeks ago, he told me that this year he's going to go through this transition. And so when I first met him, I was wearing Jordans, and he's go see him, and he would like talk about the Jordans that I had, and like I had these these weird like purpley glow in the dark ones that were fun. And then I had a different pair like the next time I went in and saw him. Since those years, he's been my barber for many years now. Since then, like I wear cowboy boots a lot, and I wear flannel shirts, and like I'm a button-down shirt everyday guy. And I used to be like a sweatpants, t-shirt, and Jordans guy. And Yellowstone isn't what did that to me, but Yellowstone made me more proud of it. I don't know. I guess one day I woke up and I'm like, I want to be an adult now. What kind of adult do I want to be? But he told me that he wants to make that transition this year.
Okay.
He sent me a link to a YouTube guy that he's been following that like talks about Western style and things. He's like, I'm going to do the hat, I'm going to do the boots, I'm going to do buckles, I'm going to do all of it. And so he's on board, you're on board.
I'm so fascinated.
I'm trying to get you on board.
I'm so fascinated with those moments of transition. And I've said this before about like goth people, or like, you don't see a lot of 60-year-old goths, or like they're out there, but like hippies that were hippies in the 60s today. Like at some point they were like, you know what?
I'm an
this
adult.
Tommy Bahama cuts a nice shirt.
So then there are ways to go like, okay, what's like like you just said, Dylan, what's like the hippie version of business casual? Okay, like Jimmy Buffett, Tommy Bahama. I've cut my hair, but I'm still, like there are still ways to sort of be in a certain, anyway, I think those moments of transition are fascinating. So I've been trying to figure out ways to like cross over both. Flannel works on all fronts, right? It works on the hipster front, the Harley front, and the Western front.
Sure.
So like there are some things that cross over. But a cowboy hat's a statement. And I used to have one back in my horseless horse 4-H days, which if you don't know what horseless horse is, that's a real thing. It's when you want to learn about horses and ride horses and learn tack, but you don't want to buy a horse. And then people with horses will go, you can clean my stall and ride my horse once a week if you want to. And you go, great. So I had one then, but it doesn't fit anymore. So anyway, shows that make you want to live the lifestyle that those people lead. And we think we're crazy, but then people out in Montana are like, stop moving here because so many people have moved out there because of Yellowstone. And they're like, stop. I remember when College Game Day was in Bozeman, and they're like doing a whole like spread on their opening sequence is like these beautiful landscape shots of Yellowstone National Park, and then they go into the cities and stuff like that. And then at the end, they sort of had this joke, and the locals are like, "Nothing to see here, move along," because they don't want all these people coming out there. What are you guys watching?
Yeah, speaking of things that make you want to change your outfit, Masters of the Air on Apple TV. I need a bomber jacket stat. That show is freaking fantastic. So this is Masters of the Air is Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg were actually building a show about flying fortress bombers in World War II. They had built it for HBO years ago. I think they started the show around 2014 working on it. HBO decided that they didn't want to keep it, which after Band of Brothers and Pacific, I have no idea why. Apple jumped in and they started filming it, I think in 2021, but with COVID had to keep stopping. And they're trickling episodes, one episode a week. So we're 2 episodes in right now. So good. If you like Band of Brothers and if you like Pacific, absolutely jump on this show on Apple TV now or once it's over. It doesn't matter. But man, it's so good.
Does it feel like Memphis Belle? I know that's one from our childhood that we love.
It's exactly what it feels like, and is if you mashed up Band of Brothers and Memphis Belle, that's exactly what it feels like.
And Austin Butler from the Elvis movie, the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie, he was great in that.
Yeah, well, that's what I was reading up on it. So if they had started this in 2021, he had probably committed in 2021 or 2020. And I don't know when Elvis came out, but I think it was after that. So I think he had actually committed to this potentially before Elvis. I don't know the timing of it. You also have I can't think it was Barry.
Look at that shot there, man.
Yeah, you look at that and you just need your own bomber jacket, right? Like those are sick. Barry Hagen. He's also in the show. He's been in a lot of stuff lately, but we've talked about him in the Banshees of Inisherin. He was in that.
Yeah, Barry Keegan or Keegan.
Yeah, he was in
Kehan, however
the MCU project. It's been a lot. Eternals. He was in
that.
Yeah. And so he's in it, also very good, super, super good show. So I've been watching that. It's great because I had Apple TV. I also checked out Brie Larson, who is Captain Marvel, is in Lessons in Chemistry on Apple TV. That's an 8-part series. That was really interesting. I had no idea everything that was that show was going to be about. What I knew about it was a chemist hosts a cooking show in like the 50s or 60s. And then there's way more to it. Bill Pullman's son is in it. And I didn't realize it was Bill Pullman's son until halfway through the first episode because I kept going, he looks just like somebody in Masters of the Air. And I couldn't put my finger on it. I'm like, nope, not Masters of the Air. He just looks like a guy I've seen a bunch in my life.
He's in Top Gun Maverick. He was in that.
Top Gun Maverick. And I just saw he got picked up for, ironically, a Marvel project. It looks like he's going to be Sentry in Thunderbolts. So all these people with crossover between like Marvel and other projects they're working on. So Lessons in Chemistry, not the easiest watch, a little bit of a tough drama, but very good if you just want something kind of different than what you're normally watching. That was really good. And the Still documentary, which is about Michael J. Fox. Not the best documentary I've seen ever, but very good, especially if you're a Michael J. Fox fan. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan. I mean, I certainly remember him doing Back to the Future and a couple other projects like Spin City, but I didn't follow him a ton after Back to the Future. So like, I didn't know a lot of what was going on in his personal life. Other than, when he came out with what he was dealing with. And so, but if you like documentaries, or you like Michael J. Fox, check that out. That was really good.
Sherry and I watched that, and I would add, even if you're just a huge Back to the Future fan, that's one of those ones that our grandma had the VHS tapes of, and when she would babysit Dylan and I, we would just watch those like over and over and over and over. And he makes a lot of, there's so many references to that, and there's a lot of color and context around how I didn't realize how hard he was working on his show while shooting the movie, like full days with like 2 hours of sleep, if that, and then having drivers drive him from one set directly to the other and back and forth, like burning the candle at both ends while he was making Back to the Future.
Crazy.
And then they didn't expect it to be such a smash. Obviously, this is common. But that was really interesting. We did enjoy watching it, and he's very authentic and honest in that. I thought, about both his life and like before him getting Parkinson's, and then they show a lot of like pretty vulnerable scenes of like him in therapy for his Parkinson's and working with his trainer, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. Like I had an old boss that passed away, early during COVID with Parkinson's, and you just see like, not that he hasn't worked really, really hard, but you see what having access to great resources and trainers and people that can work with you can help, have obviously helped propel him in life as long as he has. And so I'm not saying he's, that's the only reason. It takes a lot of self-will and, but man, he did not take advantage of those resources either. He could have just easily said, "Woe was me." And so it's just a really incredible story. And it's interesting to hear so much of it from him with, like Kory said, no holds barred. I mean, he doesn't hold back at all about, his family or his success or, how it's affected him since. So it's good. It's a very good documentary if you're into that kind of thing at all.
Yeah. Kendall, what you watching, man?
Same old with me. I'm on season 4 now of Fargo, which
golly gee.
I mentioned to you in those text messages that watching Fargo, like for a while afterward. Now I haven't watched it now for a few days because we had a busy weekend, and then I've been watching WWE, catching up on that, and I'm partway through the Royal Rumble right now. But after that, I'll be going back into Fargo. And you can you can hear me like if you listen to me talk after watching Fargo, that I've been watching Fargo.
That's awesome.
It's weird how it happened, and I'm not trying to do it. Like I can totally see how Brian Kelly picked up an accent so quick. Like it gets on me. And I was literally watching a football game and said, I said, "Geez Louise," to a weird play, and I said, "Geez Louise," and my wife was like, "What did you just Geez Louise?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't know."
Oh gosh,
it's so close to, you guys spend time in Michigan, and it's so close to some parts of Michigan and the Midwestern accent already. It's not that far off. So I could see how, I know people roll their eyes at others when they come back from a 2-week trip in London and are starting to seriously, you didn't pick that up. But I feel like because the accent in Fargo is so close to our Midwestern sort of
northern Michigan accent, and obviously Minnesota, North Dakota, a lot of Wisconsin.
Even how you said Dakota just now.
I had Dakota. I mean, I've got family that talks in a version of that. They're it's very similar to the Canadian accent as well. I feel like there's a lot of overlap. And I have my entire dad's side of the family, including my dad, have this relatively thick Uper accent, northern mm-hmm. Michigan, basically Canada accent, that's mixed with a little bit of Finnish, and it's a very interesting thing, and it shares a lot of characteristics with the accents that are in Fargo, and anyway, so there's that, and then WWE, which is fun and exciting, and I'm enjoying it.
Are any big exciting things in the Rumble, or do you know? I mean, where do I watch that?
Peacock.
Okay.
Peacock has all of the special events.
All right. Text me your login credentials.
They also have the They also have Raw and SmackDown, but they're like a month behind us.
Okay.
A month delay. Versus Hulu, which is it's available at some point the next day. So
Okay. Gotcha.
for now,
Great.
eventually it's going to be Netflix, but
You
right
should
now
know
it's
this.
Hulu.
I think you have Peacock because I think you guys are using it for college football.
Oh, cool.
So you probably have it.
Okay, awesome. I don't even know the streamers we have, but I saw, yeah, Netflix. Raw's coming to Netflix in 25.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I'm not going to pick up and watch like weekly or whatever. But if they have if this is a way for Netflix to get a back catalog of a bunch of old events, that would be cool. I have no idea if that's in the deal or not, or if that's what they're planning.
Yeah.
But if that's a way for Netflix to get a bunch of old like pay-per-view specials to go back and watch, that would be sweet. I would enjoy going back to watch some of that.
That'd be great, man. I know that I had never watched a pay-per-view before Peacock. So it was a fun experience. I think it was one of the Saudi Arabia events that I watched it was my first pay-per-view. That was good. Or was it that? I don't remember which one it was. Maybe
Somebody was just asking me if I'm still watching UFC, and I said no, because if you're not buying the pay-per-views, you feel like you're missing out on the biggest of the big events. Like you still get the free fights, and those are like really low tier like fighters and really kind of unexciting cards. And then the most exciting cards are happening on pay-per-view. He's like, dude, why are you even worrying about that? Just go to Reddit and type in where to watch the fights for free. And there's like 9 million links. I'm like, I don't want viruses on my computers and stuff.
That's always shady stuff, man.
I'm like,
not worried about that.
Are the UFC fights on ESPN Plus or are they on something else?
There's stuff that's on cable. Then there's stuff that's on ESPN Plus that's slightly better, like some of those are really good, fight nights and stuff.
I have that. You can come watch those at my house.
Then there's like the biggest of the big fights, like the numbered ones, the UFC 257, like Adesanya and whoever, like those are usually pay-per-views that anytime you see Dustin Poirier or all these other like big names, it's like it's a pay-per-view. You're not going to be able to watch it. Then those are the times when we've gone to like B-dubs and we go and have wings and watch it there. But anyway.
Yeah. I got invited that one time at like 8:00 and I was like, cool, the fight's on at 8. And then I get there and it's like, oh, we're going to sit here till 4 a.m. And
prelims.
By like 9:30, it's like 9:30 and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. Prelims start at 8. The actual card starts at like 11 or midnight. And then, yeah.
Didn't know that. So I would stay for like a reasonable dinner amount of time and then be like, I'll watch what I can watch in an hour and a half. And then I'm going home.
Yeah.
Well, to wrap us up, I watched a few things on the plane. You guys get down with Black Mirror. Have you guys picked?
Never watched it.
Honestly, I'm in season 4, I think. It's so close to like the sci-fi historical. Each episode is a standalone story. So there's no need to, like, you could start in season 4. In fact, Dylan, I'm going to send one to you because there's so much stuff that's like, it's a mix of what if the world worked like this type things that are eerily close to what we already experience today. Like, for example, what if society treated you in real life in the grocery store and at the post office and in the coffee shop based on how your social media following was?
Oh, right.
So if you had been canceled online, what if that applied to real life? Or you could walk around with your popularity as a number hovering above you, like fascinating stuff like that it's like, ooh, it's already pretty close to how it is today, but then they take it a little further. You guys would seriously love it. I might send you some of the more interesting ones, but I've been watching that and sometimes they're really heavy and like a little tough to stomach, but sometimes it's like just a fascinating concept that they're like, sometimes time travel, a lot of technology and sci-fi stuff anyway. And then I watched hard to stomach, no pun intended, Society of the Snow on Netflix, which is the story of the real life plane crash in the Andes Mountains from 1972. This Uruguayan flight was carrying a rugby team and their friends and family, as well as other passengers, and it crashes in the middle of nowhere in the Andes Mountains, and they survive for over 2 months with very little food on the plane, so they resorted to cannibalism to survive. This has been covered in many documentaries. I guess there was a 1993 movie called Alive about it. This is a Spanish film, or Spanish speaking for sure. I'm not sure if it was made in Mexico, but it's new on Netflix and they covered it again. So this has been covered before. Other documentaries and films have gone there, but it is super interesting. It's not a fun watch, but it's a fascinating, like, what would you do? And the moral dilemma of like having to resort to survival by that. And then what some of the people were doing was like, as they knew they were going to pass away, they like gave their blessing. Like, because a lot of the first people's issues with it was like, that's desecrating a body. They didn't say that they were okay with this. So then the next round of people to start passing away are like, hey guys, it's totally cool with me if you need to do that. And it's just like, and how do you do that without going crazy? All while you're trying to like repair a radio to hope that you can. So fascinating to watch. So that's called Society of the Snow on Netflix. Crazy. On that note, somebody talk about something else.
Artiest Man is they're a company.
Do you want some great stuff for your beard?
So my beard actually looks shaggy right now. You usually don't see it on the Zooms because it's covered by a windscreen that I'm not using at the moment. But my skin underneath that beard is moisturized and it does not itch. And it smells wonderful.
Maybe like an old truck.
Maybe like an old truck. Artiestman.com, you can figure it out. Artiestman.com. And buy your beard oils. You can buy your beard products. You can buy soaps that smell good yet manly, and shampoos and candles that are wonderful as well. And fill out the form. And at the end, when you're checking out and where it says, where'd you hear about us? You tell it. You say the middle, or no, the promo code is the middle. I don't know. It's late. And you'll save 25% off of your first order. And we would appreciate it if you did that. They would appreciate it if you did that. You're going to appreciate it if you did that. And if you're married, she's going to appreciate that you did that.
Amen. So that's Artiest Man, ARTIUSMAN.com, promo code the middle at checkout to get 25% off that first order, to help us out, to help you out, to help them out. You're going to be glad you did. Smell like an old truck or leather, or like, what's this one in front of me called? Oh, it's called Pipe Night. It's like a bunch of people smoking pipes around you. That's what that one smells like. And there's all kind of fun stuff that you can get. This has been fun catching up with you guys. I hated to miss last week, so it was really good to come back and hang out. We do this every Wednesday. Well, not every Wednesday, but they come out every Wednesday, and they're always in your inbox there on all the places, all the platforms. Please, 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 if you don't already, like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening. Tell a friend. We would really, really, really appreciate it. You can leave a tip if you want. That would be great. We would appreciate that as well. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on From the Middle.